Fidgety guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Ethan.
How you doing? How
I'm
you feeling?
doing all right.
Good. Doing
Stayed
all
up
right.
too late last night, so I am feeling a little funky. It's my own fault.
Playing video games or?
No, just doing the death scroll on YouTube. Because my wife went to sleep early because she had a headache.
So
the problem is
it's your
that-
wife's fault.
No, it's just me reverting to stupid bachelor habits. As soon as she's out of the picture, I'm like, I guess I'll eat ice cream and watch YouTube
That's the best.
until I'm falling asleep sitting up watching the YouTube. And I'm like, just 10 more minutes.
Yeah, dude. This is real. This is a real story. This really happened this week. Thursday, I stayed up late playing video games with my buddy from high school, and
That sounds like a lot more fun than what I did.
it was a lot of fun, and it was totally worth it. Just totally worth it.
Mine wasn't. I envy you, actually.
I made a pizza when I got in. So I made a frozen pizza in the oven, and I just laid down on the ground in front of the oven with my iPad, just watching my iPad just laying on the ground, and I fell asleep with the iPad on my face like this.
On your face.
On my face. And I woke up, I was like, like I woke up like I saw a demon.
Like there's a home intruder.
Yeah, dude. And the pizza was almost entirely black, like almost completely burnt. And I had a bruise on my head where the iPad had been resting on my forehead for like maybe a half hour. Like I was asleep on the ground like that for a long time.
Oh, my word. I'm glad you didn't burn your house down.
Yeah, that would have been inconvenient. Well, hello, everybody. It's morning for Jason and I, so we'll say good morning to you. Welcome to Work Hard. My name's Ethan. I've got my co-host here, Jason. We're hanging out. We're getting ready for Christmas, dude. It's
2 days away.
at the time of this recording, 2 days away from the biggest day of the year. You guys go big on Christmas? Is it a big holiday? Do you guys like to celebrate?
It's a big holiday, yes.
Yeah, okay.
My family, the family I grew up in, we were always pretty budget friendly. I think I've talked briefly about my parents being frugal.
Yeah.
Not cheapskates by any means. It was just out of necessity.
Yeah.
So it was never like we didn't get whole gaming systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's always been a celebration. And actually, when my wife and I got together for the first few years, we tried out not doing gifts. It was a reaction to the commercialization.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, we tried. Well, I think the goal was, I don't think it's ever really worked out as well as we had hoped it would. We were trying to put all the money towards a charitable cause. So we were giving instead of, and not receiving anything, in imitation of the reason for the season, which is Jesus's gift to us, which was eternal life if we trust in him and accept his sacrifice. So that was the idea. Probably upset family doing that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to break away from things like that and explain it thoroughly to everybody.
Yeah.
And it creates an odd or funky atmosphere. So I think we've gone back to doing gifts. But this year, everything being so chaotic, it's a little bit more low key, and we can't, we're living in the camper, so we don't have a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
The kids have decorated a few tiny pine trees up the hill,
Nice.
which I look forward to
That's
seeing
a lot
them.
of fun.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun to see them be decorated year after year and have pictures of them getting bigger and bigger with the kids.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
That'll be sick.
So I like that, but we do miss we like having a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
But my wife and the kids did a nice job decorating the camper with some lights and festive stuff. So it felt very festive.
Good. Yeah, we are I think the total square footage in our cabin's like 800 square feet, and it's just so oddly distributed that it doesn't feel like 800 square feet. It feels like 4,
Isn't it about 40% kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like almost
Which I
entirely
mean
kitchen.
is
reasonable,
Fairly
kind of.
appropriate,
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. But there's a lot
Ours
of
is shaping up to be a good 30%.
yeah. I mean, a kitchen's a huge part of the house.
Yeah, and we want it to be a big part of the house.
Oh yeah.
That's where all the magic happens.
Yeah, man. If your kitchen is not the heart of your home, then you're probably eating some nice Zog slop.
You'll have
You
to
know what
explain,
Zog slop is?
Ethan. No, I don't. What is Zog slop, Ethan?
Zog Z-O-G Zog slop. Zog.
Okay.
And Zog stands for Zionist occupied government.
I'm gonna have to process that for a couple days before I figure that out. Zionist occupied government.
Yeah. It's just one more of the
What?
terms used by people who think Jews control everything. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny. Zog slop. Yeah. So Zog slop is the idea is that somehow the Jews have compromised and occupied even the food production industry. So they have intentionally filled it with seed oils and processed nonsense to make us gay or something. Which,
Or weaken our will, at least.
yeah, something like that.
Have you seen the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson
Yes, I
and
have.
Julia Roberts?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. That's
Where
one
there
of my
is-
favorite
he's right.
lines. Just the beginning credits where it's showing Mel Gibson's character, who's the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And he's talking to he's a taxi driver in New York, and he's just, every time he gets a fare, he's just unloading
Yeah.
on these poor people who are just trying to get somewhere. And one of them is like, no, they put fluoride in the water. It's like, and on the pretense that it strengthens your teeth. You know, it actually weakens your will.
Dude, I wonder how much Alex Jones he watched for that role.
When was Alex Jones around? This is an
A long-
80s movie.
Yeah, Alex Jones has been around. Alex Jones has been doing stuff since he was like 15.
Really?
Yeah, he was
Oh, man.
he was younger than me when he was doing the Alex Jones show.
I had
He was
no
doing it
idea.
on public access television.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make use of that.
Yeah, dude. Alex Jones is the man, though. I'm a big Alex Jones guy. I love Alex Jones. I used to watch his show like every day. It's so funny. He might be the funniest person currently living.
Really?
Oh, for real, dude. Even when he's not, like, when he's trying to be funny, he's very funny. But even when he's not trying to be funny, he's still, like, have you ever seen, like, all time, they keep putting chemicals in the water that make the freaking frogs gay? Have you ever seen that?
It sounds familiar.
That's his, like, he's ranting about fluoride. And how when you expose it to, I guess you call it an amphibian. Yeah, like a salamander or a frog.
Yeah.
That if you expose them to fluoride to like even minute amounts, it makes them like grow ovaries and stuff.
Oof.
Yeah, and so he was saying like if it's doing this to frogs, then it's in minute amounts, and we're dumping it in the water, like it's definitely messing with you, and it does. Fluoride does make you gay.
Must be why I have 3 girls and 1 boy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on TRT, so I'm condemned to only I guess not condemned. I love having a daughter, and I will very happily have only girls. But
Yeah.
that is one of the side effects.
Oh, really?
If you have to go on a hormone treatment, yeah, it's much harder to have boys. Higher testosterone levels are associated with higher rates of female.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I imagine is some sort of like equalizing natural pressure God built into birth rates to make sure that like you're not getting like overly testosteronized, very male populations. You're like balancing
Probably
that out
wise.
somehow. Yeah, I would imagine.
So what you're saying is you and I are very manly.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm saying we're
Interesting.
very high T. You're naturally high T. I have to introduce synthetic medical treatment to get there, but yes. I have blood. I have irrefutable proof that I have the highest possible testosterone levels you can maintain without giving yourself cancer. And it costs me, it's actually not that much money. It's only a couple grand a year. do TRT is sick. I mean, I needed it. I was like, so you're I think they test your free testosterone levels, and like most guys today are rocking like 600, somewhere in the 600s. People 100 years ago would be around like 1,000 to like 1,100 is what they're usually sitting at. So most guys are rocking 600. 600s, obviously you're going to be a little bit more prone to depression and all the kind of stuff that comes with that. I was
with higher testosterone or lower?
Lower.
Okay.
Yeah, lower. I was at 100.
Oof.
Yeah. The doctor was like, dude, for real, if you do not get this treated, it's going to kill you. You have to. You cannot do this. He was like, I don't even understand how you're getting up. And I was like, I don't really get up. Like I couldn't hold a job. It's crazy.
Oh,
I had
really?
terrible insomnia.
Oof.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad. But so TRT was like life changing, bro. It's crazy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God for modern medicine.
Thank God for modern
Even though
medicine.
we've condemned it in other ways.
Yeah,
on this show.
Yes, we have.
In our long history of talking about doctors.
Yeah, we've recorded 4 hours of talking. At least one of those has been devoted to the injustices
Slamming
of
doctors.
Yeah.
Those hacks.
Yeah. Well, they are. I think you were the one that I told this to recently, because I remember talking about it recently. But there's like you can go to like stats.org or whatever, wherever you go find stats. You can go find stats, and one of them is the like growth of employment as providers versus administrators in hospitals, and the number of providers is like, a linear increase. It's not really that much, maybe a 5% over.
But the bureaucratic administration is like,
Dude, it's for real, like an order of magnitude more, like insane.
like an Elon rocket leaving the pad and exploding.
Yeah,
And then spreading everywhere.
yeah, spreading everywhere, everywhere. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like for real. If there was 5 administrators in a hospital in the 90s, there's 500 of them now in like any given hospital.
And my boss has told me the stats on how many. I don't know if it's something scary, like 40% of the population now is supported by taxpayer dollars.
That's
in some
crazy.
way.
That is.
I don't know if that's
crazy.
an entirety, and I don't know if it's the 40%. Don't quote me. I don't have a source for that, except my boss has mentioned something a few times, and it's an unsustainable percentage, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just let's keep printing money to pay these people and hope that it doesn't catch up with us.
Yeah.
We just got to keep on adjusting minimum wage and everything else up.
Oh boy. I was just reading sometimes I go deep down the economics rabbit hole, and I was just reading this article about obviously everybody knows, like, beating the inflation, talking about inflation is beating a dead horse at this point, but there's something that somebody mentioned that I thought was really interesting that I've never heard anybody mention before, is that obviously inflation is theft because you're siphoning value from people who are holding that money.
Especially people who are about to retire.
Right. Especially people who are about to retire. But it's also thievery in another way, which is that if you buy a house for $200,000 and then they print a bunch of money and that house is now worth $400,000.
Right.
If you want to sell that house,
because then they'll tax you on the increase.
They'll tax you on the increase.
Yeah, because you made so much money.
Right, because you made so much money.
Oh, yeah.
And then you don't. What are you going to do?
The government gets their hands on the money every time it changes hands.
Every time.
And they are the only ones who get to spend it without inflation affecting it.
Right.
Because they spend it first.
They spend it
They
first.
spend it when it's still at its old value.
Yeah. They spend it immediately. So when something gets printed, they immediately take it and spend it.
Right.
That's how they inject
They can
it.
spend $1 million and it's worth $1 million, but by the time it's evened out in the society, everyone who got a piece of that $1 million, those dollars are only worth 90 cents instead of 100 cents.
Right. And they distribute it through the big banks, through JP Morgan, through BlackRock, through Vanguard,
which is why I don't feel the least bit bad about robbing Chase blind with their bonus credit cards.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
They gave me a hassle trying to cancel one of the credit cards once before the annual fee came up.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you want to? They like called. I called to cancel, and the lady had to get a supervisor on. They like wouldn't let me cancel the card without talking to the supervisor. And they really wanted to know, well, why did what's wrong? I was like, I just don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't say outright. I should have, and maybe next time I will. Well, I got the bonus from it, and that's why I picked up your stupid card,
Yeah.
and I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to wait 2 years and get the same card again and get the bonus again,
Yeah.
and then I'll leave, and I'll never pay you any interest.
Yeah. I tell people all the time. I tell guys all the time. You should, when you get married, one of the first things you should do is run up $10,000 in credit card debt on your wife's name and then have her declare bankruptcy. She can do it every 7 years. Who cares?
Oh my God.
Not really. Please don't really.
I'm
do
not
that.
going to second
Please
that.
don't. Please really. That's a joke.
Okay.
I'm always joking when I say that. Please don't do that. You have to.
However.
If you do that, you need to be very aware of what you're doing, and before you take out all that credit card debt, do a lot of research. There are a lot of little ways they can get you.
I have a podcast recommendation.
Okay.
I listened to a podcast called Choose FI.
Choose FI.
Choose Financial Independence
Okay.
is the name of the podcast, but Choose FI is what it's under. And it's two guys. I think one of them's a pharmacist now, but the other one he was a CPA and he's retired.
Okay.
But it's all about alternate income streams, passive income streams,
Yeah.
and building wealth
Okay.
to the point where you're not a slave to your job.
Yeah.
So that what they call it, I think they call it FU money. The term is from a different book.
Yeah.
Basically, if your job gets to we were talking about unhealthy jobs and at what point you should quit.
Yeah.
And if you have the money to survive without that job, then you have the power to leave.
Right.
They don't have leverage over you.
Right.
They can't say, well, you're fired if they can't force you to do something you don't want to do, especially something immoral, not just something you don't want to do because you're a sissy about it.
Yeah.
If you're just being a sissy about it, stop being a sissy and do the work.
Yeah.
Don't quit your job just because it's difficult in some way. We're talking about actually unhealthy
Yeah.
job situations.
Yeah.
Not
be honest with yourself.
Yeah, not the fickle kind where you're just like, well, this isn't really. I don't think I'm. I deserve better in some way. You don't deserve better when you're 21 and working a first time job. It's like you don't deserve better. You got to start at the bottom and work
Your
way
job
up.
every first job is going to suck. There's no way around that.
And starting over at a new job will also likely suck. You do have to start over at the bottom of the ladder, and your experience hopefully will help you climb the ladder faster, but don't expect the company to just go, oh, you have 10 years experience in life
Yeah.
in a different field. Well, let's start you off up here.
Yeah.
For one, you'll make a lot of enemies at that company who are like,
why
I've
is
been
this
here.
guy?
Why is this? Yeah, where's
Yeah.
he from?
Yeah.
Because in the future, you'll want to be promoted upward in that company.
Yeah.
And if some other new guy comes in, you'll feel a little bit gypped.
Yeah. The balance of that is if your boss is doing things like telling you he's going to get something done and then not doing it, telling you in a year from now you'll get promoted, and then that year comes up and he doesn't promote you, that kind of stuff, that you can say.
It's a very specific example.
Yeah, it's very
Ethan.
specific. It's almost like I've experienced it. Yeah. I was just telling Emily that in a more civilized.
Our co-wife.
Yes. Yeah.
He has her on odd days.
Yeah.
I get the even days.
Yeah. I have her on odd days.
Which works out better for me because of February. So I think
you
I
do
think I
get the
end up
better end
getting
of that
one
bargain,
one
dude.
more
What the
day
heck?
a year.
How did you do? You pulled one over on me.
Yeah.
I was telling my Emily. I call her my Emily on odd
We
days.
do have separate.
Yeah, we do have separate Emilys.
We like to pretend it's a different Emily.
Yeah, they're both
Makes
tall.
it easier to do this podcast.
We're both married to tall women named Emily. I was telling her that in a more civilized society, we would still have duels. Like for real.
True.
Like maybe not duels to the death, obviously, because guns are so much more accurate than they used to be. But
I don't know if that makes a difference. It was still deadly.
Yeah, it was still deadly, but you could like really because before rifling existed, you could stand like 15 feet in front of someone and aim right at their chest and miss. Now, that's why I think that's a big part of the reason why they stopped having duels is because the pistols got so accurate. They killed each other every time.
Both of them.
Yeah, I think that's why they
as long as you turned fast enough.
Yeah.
Both ended up dead all the time. Well, then that just means it was kind of a Russian roulette almost of.
Yeah, it was just a flip of the dice.
It wasn't even who was worthier or a better shot. It's like
right. I think that's a big part of the reason why it like fell out of fashion and like eventually became because it was. But I think like if we did it now with like rods or hand to hand combat, like if there was for real a chance that my boss screwing me over meant I could fight him, I would have been promoted a year ago. If that was one of the consequences that could erupt from like messing with people.
Well, for online bullying and things like that too, if you could go and find out who those people were,
yeah, they had
and
to
go and
their
just punch them in the nose, there'd be a lot less smack talking about the Jews online. We'll just say that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're just
because
the snarky
the Inglorious Bastards would be going door to door.
Yeah. The snarky dork problem would be solved tomorrow if our next president was just like, "Hey, we're doing duels again." They would be way less snarky.
Non-lethal duels are now mandatory.
Yeah, there'd be a lot less people. The Jew problem probably wouldn't stop because of how many snarky dorks are also Jews. I would imagine Jews would maybe the number one group of people getting beaten up in duels for the first probably year or so. And then they would shut up and everyone would stop challenging them to.
So this is like a really, what we're suggesting is bringing back a more manageable and less concentrated version of the Purge, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it has to be a little regulated. You can't have it like just be the Wild West. So it's like it shows the amount of duels you've been in, like shows up like on your credit report or something. So that it's like when you're getting your background check done for a job, they're like, this guy's been in 8 duels. We're not hiring this guy. He's obviously just going around starting fights with people. We're not hiring
likes to duel.
Yeah, he just likes to duel. He's just causing a problem. We're not hiring this guy.
Yu-Gi-Oh just popped in my head. Now we're talking about duels.
Yu-Gi-Oh's fun. I play a lot of Magic the Gathering.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh was a show I was not allowed to watch, but it came on right after Pokemon.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't let my kids watch that show.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
It's all, yeah, there's like
I never watched
people who are possessed.
Oh, for real?
And whatnot. Yeah, it got really dark.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
there
they
was like all the Egyptian
yes, the Egyptian gods
and
and stuff like that, and they would summon them with the card in the game.
Were they using magic or were they using
Well,
technology?
I think later on, I think it was like my impression from watching the show irregularly, so all 40 of you out there, you can pipe in and correct us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go research this.
Yeah.
But I think it got to the point where they're like, oh no, actually, these are real beings that we're summoning to do battle.
Oh.
And then they could trap people's souls in cards.
Jeez.
And then summon them.
Was it a kid's show?
Yes. So it got pretty messed up. It was pretty dark.
Crazy, dude.
So I think my parents picked up on that quicker than I did. And were like, you're not allowed to watch this show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I would just keep the TV on after Pokemon and Batman ended on Saturday.
And then that's when...
And some of it was like the early season or two were really fun.
Yeah, that's
just
I
dueling.
remember.
So like that was really cool, and some of the monsters were neat. But some of the monsters were really dark and skeletal and demon-like.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like with all those fantasy games, there's always...
Hello.
Hi, sweetheart.
Saturday's
I think I was about to say something adult, and then I realized out of the corner of my eye that we had a watcher.
Okay.
We're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, being skeletal.
I was talking about. Oh, and then there's also like the erotic, fantasy side of just the female characters are always lewd as all get out.
It's crazy, dude.
Which I thought there was a Simpsons episode where Marge gets on this online game. That's
she makes herself like a lewd character.
No, she's like flipping through the character options, and she's like, who designed this character? She's like, probably a man. But she's like, look at those bazoons.
Yeah. Dude, bearded nerds are the horniest ever, bro.
It's really sad.
It's really sad. I mean, I guess they're probably just because they're so
Lonely.
robbed of, they're just lonely.
If you can't be with that woman, create her in a cartoon
Yeah.
and then become attracted to cartoons.
Yeah,
And
we don't
that's
know
a
what you're
dark
doing
path.
with those cartoons, dude.
Yeah.
You're not hiding from anybody. Yeah, that's crazy. I saw a what did I see? Holy smokes, this is not good for a podcaster to be losing his train of thought like this. I saw this is like totally off point, off topic, but
Perfect.
do you know who Grant Cardone is? You do know who Grant Cardone is? No, you don't.
No, I do not know who
Okay.
Grant Cardone is.
Grant Cardone was at one point the man. He's not now.
Okay.
Now he sucks. Now he's like a total internet grifter. Like, I got a new cryptocurrency. This cryptocurrency does this, whatever. Like that kind of guy. Like, just like
He's selling the latest
Yeah, he's like
shyster stuff.
Yeah, he's
he's
like
got
the-
snake oil stuff
Yeah.
he's selling, hawking.
yeah, he's like the anti. Geez, what is that guy's freaking name? The one that every Christian has this guy's book and
Oh,
the
the
money
mega
guy.
church guy with
No.
the funny hair.
No. The money guy. The freaking. Oh my goodness, dude. This is not good. Not Chuck Swindoll. That's not who I'm thinking about, but that's the
Okay.
name that keeps coming to my head. Dude.
So he's an author only, or is he also like a
He's
TV
he's a
evangelist?
radio show.
Okay.
And he's he's a money
Dave
guy.
Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey, yes, thank you. He's like the anti Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
Grant Cardone is. Now I think Dave Ramsey is a drooling idiot, but Grant Cardone is too. And but Dave Ramsey's trying to help people. Grant Cardone's just trying to get money.
Dave Ramsey is the guy who helps get you off the crack of credit card debt.
Yes, if you
So Dave Ramsey is extremely necessary,
yeah,
and
if
you
need Dave
absolutely
Ramsey-
should start there.
if you need Dave Ramsey, then yes,
He's
Dave
a
Ramsey is
he's a
absolutely-
12-week program for shopaholics.
Yes, but it is
Literally,
unlikely.
I've been to one of his conferences or one of his speeches, and he just walks around in the beginning with a handful of credit cards, snipping them in half
Nice,
with giant scissors as
Yeah.
he's talking.
nice,
It's a good, it's stuck in my head this long. It worked.
good.
What
Yeah.
is it? His Financial Peace University is the course that you can take. You can order this course
Yeah.
and go through it as I'm telling the audience, not
Okay.
you.
Okay. Yeah.
For all of you out there, if you don't even know how to make a budget, if you don't know how to rein in your spending, if you struggle with credit cards, you should absolutely invest the relatively small amount of money. It's like the cost of a video game. For anyone who's like, I don't have $40. It's like, well, don't buy the latest version of whatever you're playing.
Yeah.
Put it off till next month, get Financial Peace University, and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, take it with a couple of friends and go through. Yeah, my wife doesn't like Dave Ramsey either. She also grew up listening to him on the radio all the time, so she
Yeah.
doesn't like him, and I don't listen to him, but he is where you need to start. And I think Financial Peace, no, I'm sorry, Choose FI, I think, talks about Dave Ramsey in the same light as like they use credit cards, but wisely, and they never pay interest on them. It's when you have control of that, then you can utilize it.
Yeah.
But you need to start from a position of being able to control your spending
Yes.
before you start delving into Choose FI kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And building money off it, because you're dealing with organizations who are masters at getting your money.
And messing with
They
you.
will get you.
Yeah, they will
eventually
get you.
if you're
They will
not
get you if they
extremely
let them.
vigilant.
Yeah. 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 But you also the thing I don't like about, I do like that course, and I think that course is helpful. And if you have a spending problem, Dave Ramsey's a great person to give you a really simple. If you do not know how money works at all, his way of approaching money will keep you out of trouble.
Yes.
It'll keep you out of trouble. Mm-hmm. And so in that way, it's helpful. He would present it differently. He would not present it as this is a way just to stay out of trouble. He would present it as this is the path and only path to wealth building, prosperity, that kind of stuff.
Right. Right.
Whereas and then his practical advice once he gets out of the debt world and the like getting out of the budgeting, once he gets out of the financial peace world and goes into the wealth building world, that's where he really falls off. Like he either doesn't have any understanding of how all that stuff works in a fiat economy, or he does and is like hates it so much that he's just completely unwilling to participate in it, which is not, you don't need to be telling people not to take on debt at all, period. It's just cancer. It's a bad idea. In a fiat world, taking on debt it's just a tool. It's just like anything else. It's like a gun, like treating it like it's
a tool that I hate, though. I will say that I would like to live in Dave Ramsey's world.
I would too.
We've talked about this as far as starting
Dave Ramsey's
a business.
Advice should be correct. It should be correct
in a proper world. And so maybe he's just an idealist.
Yeah,
who's trying to start a large enough movement, and he's doing a darn good job of it. He's at least making. The
problem is that you may the telling, like trying to start a movement of people that don't take on debt is great, but that's only if the movement you're trying to start is also aimed at destroying the system that requires you to take on debt in order to get ahead. But the system is specifically designed to make taking on debt safer. That's what fiat currency is designed to do. And so it's wrong, and you shouldn't do it. And you should not have an economic system.
Shouldn't have to do it.
You shouldn't have to do it, but it is.
You shouldn't have to take out a 30-year loan just to have a place to live.
Yeah, to get a home.
That is not
ridiculous.
That's yours.
Right. That's just insane.
But even that was that was designed because people weren't buying houses,
right,
or couldn't afford to because
made them cheaper
prices went off.
Yeah, so it's
this is a huge rabbit hole we can get into as to why that is the case.
Oh yeah.
I need to write down some book recommendations to talk more specifically, but
and he's the only other thing I'll say on Dave Ramsey that's like objectively crazy that is that we could go down a rabbit hole if you want, but he is very. I don't care that you're anti-crypto. That's fine. You can be anti-crypto, but he's anti-Bitcoin. And anytime I've ever heard him even make an attempt to describe what Bitcoin even is,
okay,
the display of
ignorance
is astounding to be that confident and that wrong. So that's where I get. If you can,
bad.
Yeah, if you can be that wrong and be that confident about it, it makes me nervous about like what are the other things that you could be wrong about,
right?
That I'm not smart enough to know about.
So stick to the budgeting and debt elimination. He has a really good method of if you have an irregular income. So if you're not on salary, which is most people, if you're working hourly and your hours fluctuate even a little bit, his budgeting strategy will allow you to make sure that every penny is spent, as in every penny has a place it's going that's decided before it reaches your bank account.
Yeah.
So as soon as it comes in, you go, all right, here's the priority of bills. This is what gets paid. And then what's left over goes into these and gets invested or saved somewhere. So you already know. So you don't just have a wad of cash that comes in and you go, all right, cool, time to go drink or whatever.
Yeah, because that will.
Like now I can afford COD 17.
Yeah, the most disciplined person in the world will blow any money that is not spoken for in your bank account.
Yes.
So that, again,
learning to make your money spoken for is
like
and I could go back to that.
Yeah, that's like the money skill. That's the like foundational money skill for sure. And so he's definitely right about that. So he's definitely safe to
so start there. The Financial Peace University has helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it can help you.
And it can help you.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah. Don't I wouldn't take it.
Dave Ramsey, will you sponsor us, please, for Financial Peace University if you're listening to this?
Dave Ramsey,
somebody forward this to Dave, please.
I know I called you a drooling idiot, but will you give us some money?
But I mean,
I'll sell that one course that you sell. It's pretty cool. So Grant Cardone is now the anti-Dave Ramsey.
Okay. That was a long.
But at the time, that's great. No, dude, we just killed like 20 minutes. So that was awesome. I think it was actually only 5, but
it was well spent.
Yeah, it was well spent.
That needed to be said.
Grant Cardone he's a salesperson, first and foremost. So he made his money as a realtor. That's how he got his, like, I guess that's how he cut his teeth, as you could say. He displayed a pretty like in-depth understanding of how to sell things. And from that, he created Cardone University. And it was a sales program that was like Sandler. There's another one called Sandler Sales Training. That's like the real big industry standard, like really good. This is how you sell things.
All right.
And Cardone University was like in the 90s and early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s. It was good. It was good. And there's still like, you can Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone is a book that you can read. I don't know that I'd recommend it. Bless you. I don't know that I'd recommend that you read it, but you can read it. And there are good things in there, like the idea that a good salesperson, a truly good salesperson, is sold easily. So in order to be good at selling, you have to be like, in order to convince people of stuff easily, you need to be open to being convinced easily.
Not as in shystered, but
no,
just not too stubborn to see
if you're closed,
a good deal.
Yeah, if you're closed down,
Okay.
if you're not enthusiastic about things, if you don't get excited,
Okay.
if you can't get on other people's sides, if you can't,
Because that just makes me think like you're a sucker.
oh no. I mean, you should obviously not be able to, like, somebody should come up to you and tell
You should be on the
something
lookout for stuff and be ready to receive
right to receive
good pitches.
Yeah, it's ultimately just like the idea of just an optimistic, excited person is a good salesperson.
Gotcha.
And so Grant Cardone has had good ideas and he said good stuff in the past. There's a video right now that's circulating of him talking to one of his inside salespeople who's selling the Cardone University like in like 2000. And so they all have like real funny haircut, like the spiked like 2000s
Frosted
haircut,
tips and things.
frosted tips and stuff. And
Yes.
Grant Cardone's got this like crazy like belt on. He looks like Justin Timberlake. And so it's real. They look funny, they look crazy, and they look like the guys that everybody enjoyed making fun of in the early 2000s. And so it's an easy. It's like hackneyed to point at them and go, "Oh, look at these losers who are behaving like fools," whatever, because all the jokes have already been made. You can just grab one out of the hat and throw it at them. And so they're making these jokes that are boring and old. But the point is that it got reposted originally with this person saying this is soul sucking, and the video is of Grant Cardone coming up to one of his inside salespeople who's cold calling all day, 100, 200 calls a day, and getting people on the phone and being like, "Hey, what's going on? Do you want to do this? This is what we do. How do you guys have any of these problems? This is something that goes on, blah, blah, blah." And he's got a script.
Right.
So you read off the script, and the script will have what you say, and then it'll have like a list of general possible responses that the person will offer you. You go to that response. You read what that script says to respond there.
It's a protocol.
Yeah, it's protocol.
If A happens, do B.
Yeah.
Proceed down this line. Yeah.
Exactly. It is the way, it is maybe the only way to learn how to sell in that environment. And they have this interaction with each other because the guy's going off script. And so Grant Cardone's coming over to him, and the guy is getting attention from Grant Cardone, who at the time is the man. So the guy is smiling ear to ear. He's so excited. And Grant Cardone's like, "What are you doing, man? You're going off the script." But he's being like a coach to him, like a football coach. I guess he's really not he's being like really cool with him. And he's being like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "You're my best guy, right?" And he's like, yes, I'm your best guy. And he's like, "You want to be great?" He's like, "I want to be so great. I want to be this, and this." And Grant goes, "Okay," and grabs him, like grabs a chair, and he goes, "To quit getting up. I know you're walking around up and down these halls. You think that that's help. It's not. It's not helping you. You need to sit down here. You need to read this script. Read the script." And he's like, "You have to come down. You have to make these calls. You want to be great." And the guy goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, you got to be frequent. You have to be frequent before you can be great." And then shoves him into the desk and goes, "So dial the phone." And it's maybe one of the best videos I've ever seen. It's so good. Like every 19-year-old kid needs to watch that video, needs to hear that phrase. You need to be frequent before you can be great. That's so insanely true. Like, and in the world of building skill, of getting good at something, frequency, repetition is
Fundamentals.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
Every sports movie ever.
Yes.
What does that coach come in and drill that terrible team that they got dealt?
Yeah.
They drill the fundamentals into them.
Right. And they
They never get to play the game. They only do drills.
Right. And they just do it over and over.
You can just picture Denzel Washington yelling.
Yeah. 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 That's exactly what I was thinking about. I was
Yeah,
thinking
exactly.
about Denzel
Just
Washington.
picture Denzel Washington. Or have you ever seen The Hoosiers? The basketball.
No, I have not seen
Oh,
the
that's a
Hoosiers.
good one too.
Yeah?
That's older, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe about the same era as Remember the Titans. That's good too, though.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that it just there's this like, and the reason I brought this up is because what I wanted to talk about today was skill building, and because we touched on that our very first episode together.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Kind of at the end, I think.
Yeah, and there's so much noise out there that is aimed at diagnosing problems and telling you that the reason you're miserable is because modernity has failed and democracy is a failed experiment and women are how do I say this in a couth way? Women are what's the message? What's the message that women are not worth it? That's the message, that their body counts are too high, that they have tattoos and debt, and they have overly inflated ideas of their own worth, and that they are not in fact worth it, and that they're all these girls are not loyal. These girls belong to the streets. The point I'm trying to make here is that there's so much noise that is the suffering in your life is due to problems that have nothing to do with you and are outside of your control. And if only
gotcha.
If only you
pointing the finger everywhere but at yourself.
Right, because it makes you feel good to hear that. It makes you feel good to watch. I mean,
and it reinforces the fact that you were told you were special from.
Yeah. You're special. You're special. You're unique. You're so cool.
You're probably not.
Yeah, you're probably not. You're probably a loser. It's just how it is, dude. At 22, you just are a loser. There's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, there's something you can do about it.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is that there's nothing you can.
End of podcast.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
Working hard won't help.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that, or the reason I wanted to bring this up is because you will exist in the sort of neat basement dwelling misery that you experience now for as long as you are watching the Whatever podcast. Have you seen any clips from this thing? The Whatever podcast?
Is this that a whole bunch of girls?
Yes.
Oh, and there's like one guy, I guess,
Yes.
who comes on who's like the only intelligent one in the whole bunch.
Yes.
Who tries to provoke some thought, and they're just like, what?
Yeah, they're just like, I have an OnlyFans. Like that, yes.
Yeah, they all look like they have an OnlyFans.
They all do have an OnlyFans.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Well, that's where he gets them. He goes on OnlyFans and recruits them from OnlyFans.
Oh, really?
I
Is
can't
it the
imagine.
same
Why
group?
wouldn't he?
Is it the same group of girls every time?
No,
Or is
he
it-
finds a new gaggle of.
Oh, okay. I've only seen maybe 2 clips.
Okay.
Of like Michael Knowles or some other
Yeah.
male protagonist who's coming in amongst this gaggle of
Yeah.
floozies.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so the problem with that stuff is that
Bimbos,
it's,
I guess, is a
Yes.
better word because it makes
Yeah.
them dumb and kind of slutty.
yes. Geez Louise, dude. I had decaf coffee this morning. That's what that was. I should have had regular calf coffee.
I thought you spaz out on coffee. What is
I
this
do.
you've got drinking here?
This is decaf. This is
That's
coffee.
decaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I've got some caffeinated up in the trailer. Do you want some?
I would like some, but if I drink it, I'm gonna spaz. So
Okay.
I can't. I gotta practice.
Is that going to make a good podcast if you spaz? Or is it
No.
bad?
So I'm gonna be like this the whole time.
Okay. Oh, okay. Just heavy breathing in the mic. Let's
My
avoid that
hands
then.
are shaking. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a good idea, Jason. The watching the Whatever podcast is
Is going to keep you in the hole.
it's going to keep you in the hole. It's going to keep you in the hole. It is mind rot, and that guy knows it. He's making it. He makes that podcast. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the ideals he's arguing.
Is he in the podcast or is he just the producer?
He's in it. I think so. Well, first, that's a good point. It's probably all AstroTurf. It's probably all fake. Like the Pearl. You know who Pearl is? Pearly Things.
Nope.
She's the female version of that podcast. So she goes on, and she wears like trad wife like dresses and stuff, and then goes in these like hyper modern like podcast sets in England. It's really weird. It's very bizarre, but it's another one of those things that like it's supposed to look like it's her podcast and she's doing this and this is her idea, but it's all AstroTurf. It's some talent agency just looking to get clicks on TikTok, and so they hire these people and are like, you're a podcaster. The character you're playing is that you do this, this, and this, and then they go, yeah, whatever.
Right.
So that's what this is. Honestly, now you bring that up, that is exactly what this is. But it's just designed. It's designed to get you out of your frontal lobe, get you in your amygdala, get you angry, get you going, all these girls are whatever, blah blah blah, and watching Andrew Tate and stuff, and it's just designed to get your attention away from your own life, because attention today has been monetized through advertising, and so attention is incredibly valuable. But here's the problem: attention is actually for real the only thing you can control, is where your attention goes. When you think about what is a human, what are you really? Are you a human? A human's a word. You have. What are you? You are a consciousness. You're a soul. You're this floating ethereal thing. You're an observer. You're a looker. That's it. That's all you are. You just observe. The only problem with saying that is that observing sounds passive, but that's not how God understands observing, because God is the ultimate observer. That's what he is. Observing is incredibly active. The way that Hebrews used to talk about the eyes is not how we think about eyes today symbolically. Eyes were a projector. They were a lamp. So they pushed out into the world. They did not receive information and bring it in. So when you looked out, when you're looking, you're pushing things out. And that's true physically. That's true scientifically. A while ago, decades ago, subatomic physicists figured out that when there isn't a conscious mind observing the world, it's in a state of chaos such that it isn't anything.
Explain.
So there was they did a experiment, and I'm going to butcher this, so you guys are going to have to look this up. They did an experiment where they had a gradient field with lines drawn through it, and then behind that field they had not lines drawn, but they had lines cut through the field. So there was space where things could pass through those lines. And then behind them, they had a receptacle, a board that would leave markings when subatomic particles hit it. And then they fired subatomic particles through the field and hit the board behind it. Now, what they thought was that it was just going to be the lines that were in the field.
Okay.
But what they found was that it was not the lines that were in the markings were not the lines that were drawn or cut into the field. They were totally chaotic, as if the field wasn't there at all. And then they put a camera to see what happened, to see why this was going on.
Okay.
They put a camera at the point of impact, at the point at which they passed the field, and then at the point of impact. And when they were observing, and only when they were observing the subatomic particles passing through the field, did the subatomic particles hit the board in the manner that what you would have expected.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
the conclusion they drew from that is that if
there is nothing observing anything, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? The answer is no, because the tree isn't there. That is only true
if God wasn't watching.
If God wasn't watching.
There you go.
So God is watching.
Ethan had
everything.
me for a second
there.
Yeah,
God is watching.
And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, God is watching.
We might be way off base on our theology.
Yeah.
Or way.
Yeah. So the reason
for
why
a second I wondered how close Ethan and I are aligned in our.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason you can go out in the woods, and there is a tree there that has fallen that nobody saw. And then you can leave and nobody sees it again for 100 years, and you can go back and that tree is rotted away, which would indicate that time has passed.
Right.
The reason that's possible is because there is a great observer. And the reason why when you and I look at a table, and we can both agree that this table is here, it's gray, it's made of plastic, there's electrical equipment on top of it. The reason we are having a universal experience, the reason that things are ordered such that we can both observe them, describe them, and agree what they look like is because there's a universal observer that is the thing that is actually deciding what everything looks like.
So my question then is, why didn't these particles line up because God was observing those too? Why did it have to have a camera?
I don't know.
That makes me think that the camera somehow...
Yeah, that's the part that I butchered.
Equipment...
Yeah,
okay.
That gets explained.
Their experiment may have been more...
Yeah, their experiment is more comprehensive and better, and that gets explained.
Okay.
But that's a big... That and the fact that if everything was chaos, it could and it requires consciousness to be organized, then there has to be at some point, there has to be some observer removed from existence. Because there was no original observer. You can't have chaos. Order does not arise from chaos. Order only arrives when something else acts on it.
No matter
chaos.
How many universes are in the multiverse,
right, exactly. It doesn't
still
matter.
Wouldn't.
Yeah, it still wouldn't. There's no mathematic.
You wouldn't have one that ended up perfectly like ours.
Right.
And if so, we'd still be in a state of flux. There's no reason it would have stabilized, which is one of the primary reasons why evolution makes no sense at all.
No sense, yeah.
That we wouldn't be frequently seeing just crazy things happening.
Right.
It'd be all over the news.
Right. So
what do you know? That skyscraper that we engineered to be these specks suddenly just melted. All the steel turned to liquid. I don't know why. We don't know why that happened. It just happens sometimes, folks.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
Everybody died. We don't know how.
Yeah, but hey, that's the effects of living in an evolutionary world.
Yeah, random society.
You just can't
everything's just a roll of dice.
Sometimes people gravity their way upwards. We don't know.
Yeah.
They just float off into space screaming.
Yeah. Maybe you next time.
Maybe you.
Hold on to something. Yeah, so a key part of God's nature is that he is an observer. He observes, and we are tiny little we're made in the image of God. I was not gonna say we were tiny little gods, by the way. I was not gonna say that. I was gonna say we were like tiny little
I was more worried you're gonna go in the opposite direction, that we are nothing.
Oh, no. So we are
small, but
we
very
are
important.
We are observers. That's what we are. And that's also like a psychology thing, which I don't know how on board you are with psychology, but
depends on the psychology.
Yeah. Same.
Psychology is a science like any other, and if you do it properly, it's just observation of the natural world that God created, and you're just trying to understand.
Right.
But you can go way out on some limbs that get away from that. And this is important to remember, your worldview dictates how you interpret data.
Yes.
Which is why scientists can arrive at completely different conclusions by looking at the same data, because nobody has all the data. This is exemplified probably best when you're talking about the origin of the world. How did it come to be? None of us have conclusive evidence that we can show.
Yeah.
Christians have the Bible, which we believe is the Word of God and has told us, and so we believe that authority, but we can't pull out observable evidence. It does not exist. Right. There is no observable evidence that's reproducible that says the world was created. There's no video of the world being created. Well, like, look, there's nothing, then poof, there's the earth all of a sudden.
But that's very interesting. We'll talk about that. We'll circle back to that, but continue what you're going to say.
Okay. So creation scientists look at data and they still interpret it as if there is intelligent design there.
Yeah.
That's an assumption they make. And evolutionary scientists, that's their worldview. They interpret the same data as if there is no intelligent source. And so their answers that they look for as to why things are the way they have observed them, their explanations reflect their worldview.
Yeah.
They can look at the same data as the creation scientists. Yeah. If you are not familiar with Ken Ham and his work, he's a creation scientist who puts forth a lot of very good data and pokes a lot of holes, very easy holes in evolution. and in like things like carbon dating. And I don't think carbon dating is actually as old. There's other methods of like fossil dating and things like that.
Yeah, carbon dating just doesn't work.
It doesn't. Well, carbon dating is shorter term. There's other ones that are longer term
Okay.
that allegedly could go back, stretch back thousands or millions of years.
Okay.
The problem is that you don't know if all you can observe is what's right in front of you. You can't go back that million years and say, they look at a rock
Yeah.
and they measure the amount of X material in it. And they say X material and Y material are in this rock. Y material breaks down into X material at the observable rate. So this is a fact.
Yeah.
They say this, I think it's a uranium of some kind, breaks down at this rate. That's its radioactive decay
Okay.
rate. It breaks down 1 particle per 1,000 years or whatever. They say, we've observed that. We've measured that rate. We know exactly how long. So they extrapolate and say, therefore, if we have X and Y both in this rock, we assume that all of the X came from Y originally.
Yeah.
They don't know if there was already X present in the rock at the beginning of the rock's formation.
Yeah.
They don't know if some Y got added to the rock somewhere along the way and threw off the ratio.
Yeah.
They don't know if there is some external force that accelerates that rate of decay that they can't account for, that they've not observed yet.
Okay.
All they can say is, under the circumstances that we've observed Y, it breaks down to X at this rate.
Yeah. Okay.
But we don't know if it's 100 degrees hotter, if this was underground, if it was exposed to sunlight, if it was underwater, would the rate of decay change? And I'm sure they've accounted for a lot of those things, but there's some things you can't account for.
Yeah. So they can't know.
Like the insertion of more material than there was at the beginning, which would throw off
the whole thing.
the whole thing. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to say for sure.
Yeah.
And so the evolutionary scientists cannot say that something is millions of years old. It's impossible because they have not been watching that rock in a scientific sterile lab for
Yeah.
3 million years, let alone 50, 60, 100 million years.
Yeah.
They don't know where that rock's been.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know where that rock's
don't
been.
know where
It's
that
probably
rock's
been to Vegas. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know what's happened to it.
It could be disgusting.
It could be, yeah, don't touch that rock.
Yeah.
You don't know where. Put that down. Get that out of your mouth. You don't know where it's been.
You don't know where it's been. Yes. So
Ken Ham, though. Look up Ken Ham.
yeah, creation science it is nice to know that I think before we're dead, non-creationist worldviews will have been pretty well debunked. That'll be the science is there. It's, just,
hope
it's
it'll-
not popularized yet. People
It's
don't know
not
it, but
popularized.
it's-
Yeah,
but it is
they
there.
have assumed whatever they were taught in school was factual, when in
Yeah.
fact it was theory based on worldview.
Yeah.
And the worldview was atheist.
Yeah. So here I want to say this because this is important. So you are an observer. That is the fundamental aspect of your existence, is that you observe. The reason why that's important is because wherever observation is not a passive. I don't mean observation the way we usually think about it.
Like sit and watch TV.
Yeah,
like sit and watch whatever.
Right, you're not just sitting and watching your life. You are observing it, and observing is an incredibly active thing because you are your eyes, the eyes of your soul, the eyes of your more sort of metaphysical existence are lanterns. They are not cameras. They are projecting something, and what they are projecting is order. So whatever you're paying attention to is what parts of your life are going to get ordered.
I like that.
Yes. And so when you are looking at the whatever podcast and doom scrolling on Twitter and putting all of your attention into Zog slop media, then your life will become disordered because you're not paying attention to your own life. And that is why the monetization of attention is dangerous, is because it is now there are now huge corporations and government bodies and people everywhere who are financially incentivized to take as much of your attention from you as they can. And every ounce of attention they get from your life is detrimental to you. So you have to, it's okay. I'm not saying you can't, you can't read a good book. You can't watch a good movie or whatever. I'm just saying be aware of, like, when you're listening to this, be aware that we are incentivized in some way to have your attention. And there's a level of awareness that we have of that, and we'll be good denizens of that as best we can. But we're also people, and we're going to make mistakes. And so you have to be responsible for yourself. And you got to know when to turn this off and go do the laundry or whatever.
Don't binge this at the expense of your life.
Yeah, please don't listen to all 2 hours of this at one time.
But do listen to this, binge this instead of whatever.
Yes.
It will be more beneficial than that.
Yeah. That's what this is for. Work Hard exists to get people to stop, to rip attention away from whatever and put it onto something that at least might be a little bit redeeming. Hopefully. And that's what we hope.
Hopefully to encourage you, hopefully you'll just stop listening entirely and go do stuff.
Yeah. Eventually.
This is nicotine patches.
Yes. This is a graduatory program. This is not designed. We're not here to be your buddies for your rest of your life. We're just here to get you. Though. We might be. And I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
If that's where God leads us, cool.
Yeah. So anyways, that was the point I was trying to make about the whatever podcast about Andrew Tate or, whatever. I'm trying to think of a more, who else? Who are the other self-help people? I'm so removed now. David Goggins, Andrew McIntyre, Aaron McIntyre. I hate Aaron McIntyre.
I don't know.
He's a political pundit guy on Twitter.
Okay.
His entire worldview is everything sucks. And there's no way to
That's uplifting.
Yeah. Everything sucks and there's no way to get past it. Is his anyways.
All right.
All that to say. Yeah. How's it going? Do you want to give us a message? You can lean into that and tell us something.
I made a castle.
You made a castle? Excellent. How big is the castle?
It's pretty big with walls.
Okay, nice. How many rooms are there?
I made a little gutter.
Okay, nice.
I had to stick both of my fingers through to make a hole.
Ah.
Catching rain.
Okay, that's pretty ingenious. Do you know what the word ingenious means? Smart. Pretty smart. It is a nice castle. Good work.
I'll be watching you. I'll be waiting for you at the end.
Come pick me up.
Come pick you up.
Like I'm a kid at school. It's like, I'm going to stay here and work, hon.
That's awesome. So anyways, the whatever podcast, don't listen to it. Grant Cardone.
Listen to Choose a Fight. It will get your mind thinking about ways you'll see the world differently.
Yeah. Oh, that was the total point I was going to make is that about skills, repetition, frequency.
Fundamentals are important.
And the thing that ultimately I was going to say was that the whatever podcast and, even to some extent, like I like Jordan Peterson a lot. Jordan Peterson actually was the very first guy that got me out of the slums.
Good for him.
Yeah. But he of late, he's kind of gone off the deep end. He's run out of helpful things to say. So now he's just saying whatever. Just like any of those guys, like you just be wary of that. Be careful. But the point I was ultimately trying to make is that they will sell you a message that relieves you of your own responsibility to pay attention to your own life. And that is not what you are going to get here. Jason and I have nothing to sell you yet. That might change eventually at some point. Who knows? But we have nothing to sell you. And I think we have a message that just based off of what it is, what the message is, you can rest assured that it's not beneficial to us for you to listen to this advice. And the advice ultimately is pay attention to your own life, take responsibility for yourself. And that a huge place to start doing that is to pick a thing and go do it frequently and get good at it. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be, this is a Jordan Peterson thing, actually. It doesn't have to be a job. Like if you're really slumming it, like you're just
You're talking about like a hobby skill, maybe?
anything. Yeah, like if you're just a loser.
Like Gareth and whittling.
Yes, Gareth and whittling. Yes.
Yeah.
Not,
He's looking for work.
yeah.
Can't find work yet. But he
he's-
fills part of his time when he's not helping his family
With
with
whittling.
whittling.
Yeah.
He's building a skill. He's practicing. You're cutting your fingers sometimes. You're getting better at controlling your hands.
Yeah.
You're building a skill, and you start out by whittling a really crappy looking spoon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then eventually you can make
Yeah, like I stripped the bark off the stick.
yeah.
That's what I started with.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of guys, a lot of guys, when they are in the depths of loserdom, when they are, it's a NEET. I don't remember what NEET stands for, but it's an acronym for something, but it's NEET, NEET, and it's just effectively just some guy that lives in his parents' basement, no girlfriend, no job, no prospects of future. It's a 4chan thing, but NEET. If you are a NEET, if you're just straight up neated out, you got nothing. A lot of guys that end up in a better situation start with weightlifting. That's a very common thing, and that's like a big like self-help, like masculinity Twitter kind of like internet thing.
Well,
is to go,
exercise will help you. It releases helpful endorphins and
Yeah.
hormones and things like that. It might get you back in balance and make you feel good anyway.
yeah,
Feel motivated enough to do other things that are more
important.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But being in physical shape is important, and
But-
you can't focus well if you're in poor shape.
right. Yes, you can't focus well if you're in poor shape, and that is important. It is important in and of itself to be healthy, but everybody thinks that at least all the advice I've ever seen on the internet about going to lifting weights is all about it's about the health aspect of it, the body aspect of it, and even to the mind aspect of it. You know, they talk about the release of endorphins, all that stuff. It's going to pull you out of depression, but nobody understands what is actually happening to your mind that is the real reason why lifting weights is important. And that is because you are watching yourself over and over and over again, once a day, do a task, getting better at it, and then you have extremely visceral, real results that happen relatively quickly. In the world of skill building, in the world of like developing the ability to get something done, doing weightlifting for 6 weeks and then watching your biceps double in size, it's not really going to happen, but watching your biceps get significantly bigger.
Or at least firmer,
Yeah, harder,
more
firmer.
toned, trim some fat off.
Yeah, that's a
Whatever.
lot. That's very fast. That's like a fast turnaround time to get that level of kick, like feedback and results. 6 weeks is like no time. So, like that's why it's important. That's why it's important, and you can replicate that in other ways. So I don't really care what it is that you do that you get good at, but get good at something. Dude, video games. Who cares? Do something. Just do something. Start with one thing and do it diligently, and get good at it. And then when you get good at it, that's a force multiplier. You'll get this like identity of like, I can do something. I can do something, you know? Like I'm not totally useless. I'm good at something. And from there that helps you build out a lot.
I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
If you finished your point.
I have.
Okay. You mentioned video games, and that reminded me I've been wanting to say this or discuss this with you. How do video games hold your attention and why?
Okay.
Especially the male psychology.
Yeah.
What kind of games appeal to the male psychology and why? Do you know why you're playing the games that you like? Do you know what in your nature they appeal to and how they're robbing your attention,
Yeah.
your observation from things in the real world where you can build stuff. My personal example is, I guess my favorite games, I don't game anymore, but I used to, and my favorite games were like resource collection,
Yes.
building things. I loved
Yep.
Harvest Moon, the
Yeah,
farming game.
Oh yeah.
I loved it. Pursuing a woman in...
Oh.
It was
Oh,
always the little conservative girl.
Yes, dude.
That long dress. Beautiful.
Little 2D images. Long dress. Dude, that game is goated. That might be one of the greatest games
I could...
ever made.
Yeah. Harvest Moon, I think, pulls at all of the natural
that
heartstrings that you want to do in real life, but you've been told you can't.
Dude,
you
Harvest-
can't make any money. You can't make any money doing
Right.
farming.
Right.
You can't get the girl you want. You can't whatever. So you do it in the video game.
Right.
And while you're immersed in the video game, that is your world. You're
Yeah.
observing that, and you've been sucked into that world. And so you've accomplished something, and you feel good because you've accomplished harvesting crops.
Yes,
You've
it's like
accomplished getting...
It's like fake Dominion.
It is a fake Dominion. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. So I think my theory is that all video games, the most successful ones, are fake Dominions where you can be successful
Yeah.
when you can't be in real life, or when you don't think you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can translate those things slowly, you will eventually not play video games anymore, at least for that reason. I'm not saying there's no place for recreational video games, especially with other people like you're playing with your, like,
Yeah.
if I had a group of guy friends who played video games, I would like the competition.
Right.
That would be fun.
Right.
So I'm not condemning video games outright.
Sure.
What I am condemning is
They are
The-
highly addictive.
highly addictive.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is because they play on a male audience
So well.
that does not think it can do anything in the real world.
Right. It's funny.
There is
it's
no
funny
place
how
for you.
much Harvest Moon is Jason in the video game.
You see, I lived it out. I'm
Yeah.
trying to live it out.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
trying to
so
get back
funny.
to that feeling of Harvest Moon.
Yes, Harvest Moon is definitely Jason in the
I've got the
video
girl in the dress with the long dark hair.
game.
Now,
Yes, you did it. Now you're doing the farm.
now I'm planting things,
Yeah,
and they do not grow as well as they do in the video game. It's not as simple
That's
as
another. That's another thing about it too, though, is that the video game is easier, and so you
It's
get
a
the dop-
cop-out.
Yeah,
You get the little dopamine
quicker. Yeah, yeah.
Feel good about yourself, and we harvested some carrots.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the mine and just whacked around for a while and just pulled out all these gems.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Went and sold them, had to make a quick buck,
Yeah.
which is very... you do that in the winter season, when there's not much going on the farm.
Right,
That's
yeah,
very
yeah.
that's very accurate.
Yeah.
You got to find something else to do in the off season.
Right, you gotta
if
bring
you've
that
ever
dollar
worked any sort of career that's seasonal, like for me in the HVAC right now,
Oh yeah,
it's like winter time's the slow season usually.
yeah,
And so you do other things. That's what my boss has talked about. He's like, this is when you, and you'll talk with farmers and stuff as well. Winter times when you repair your equipment and
Yeah.
you do everything you didn't have time to do. The equipment that broke down, you maintenance things,
yeah.
you build something that you didn't have time to do in the spring when you're planting, in the summer where you're watering and tending, in the fall when you're harvesting.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah.
So Harvest Moon was pretty accurate to the patterns of seasonal life
Yeah.
in that way, which was pretty cool.
The video game addiction is brutal. I got mad addicted to video games, dude, especially over COVID, because I didn't have anything to do. That was crazy. Yeah, I got mad addicted to video games. But I was addicted to video games since I was like 8. I've always loved video games. And I still love them. I still play. I don't play too much now, but I play as much as is reasonable for an adult man with a job and a daughter to
Yeah.
play. I max out my time, for
And
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can
But it's-
tell you that with increase of kids and whatnot, that'll dwindle more and more.
Yeah, I'm savoring the time that I do have. Yeah, a good way to police your
But I
video
will say
game
you will not
usage-
miss it,
Yeah,
except
certainly not.
except nostalgically. I still go, oh man, I had so much fun playing Pokemon Red.
Yeah, yeah.
I had
yeah.
so many hours of fun playing that, and Skyrim. I dumped a lot of time into
Yeah,
Skyrim.
Skyrim's
Not
a
as
good
much as some people. So when I say a lot of time,
Yeah, it was
I still wasn't that
600
good.
hours. Yeah, yeah.
but it was still 4 or 5 hours a day sometimes.
Skill building is a good idea. You should do it. Video games. Oh, well, that's what I was going to say about the video games. To tack on to your point, you can. Jason got into Harvest Moon for a reason because Jason likes farming and it reflected in his life. I
I should say, I think that was, I'm just saying it's subconscious. I'm saying that's the reason why those sorts of games
yeah
pull you.
yeah
And resource collection is exciting because that's what you want to do in real life
Right.
is you want to collect resources, build things. Oh, Minecraft is another great example.
Minecraft.
The very basic. The reason it works so well is that people want to create. We are created to create.
Right.
We are made in the image of our creator, and so we want to do little mini creations.
Yeah.
And so we play that out in Minecraft where most of us can't afford to build skyscrapers and giant machines.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to go and do it and then mine through and exploration, adventure and exploration
Yeah.
and survival.
Yeah.
That game has all the basic components of what humankind
Is looking for.
is looking for, is built to do.
Yeah.
So that's my point, is that most successful video games are based on base
Like Dominion.
fundamental desires. Dominion, yes.
Yeah, Dominion. Yeah, they siphon that. Yeah, and again, so that's taking your attention away. So that's I think, which is ultimately your point, right? Is that it's robbing your attention.
I want you to understand that the reason I want you to think about the video games you play and think about why they're satisfying and think about how you can replace those gradually with
Yes.
real life skill building.
Yeah.
So instead of grinding is a great example. Why on earth are we willing to go run around in the high grass in Pokemon, knocking out low level Pokemon with our, just to build up the level?
The tedium of that.
It's so
Yeah,
tedious.
yeah.
Everyone hated grinding.
Yeah.
But you did it anyway because it was necessary.
Right.
If you have the diligence to sit there and do that, then have the diligence to go pick up a stick and a knife and start whittling and create
Yeah.
a skill that will actually produce something real in real life. And when that, that you could put towards something and it'll
Yeah.
give you confidence. That's
Yeah.
what
It'll give you
Ethan's
confidence.
talking
It'll
about,
give you confidence. Yes.
to tackle on bigger things
Yeah.
so that you won't have to cry about not being able to change a light bulb.
Right. Right. Or and you can take whatever, like, dude, find something analogous in real life that matches the video game a little bit. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. So why did I like Harvest Moon? I think it was inherently because I enjoy growing things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I'm living that out,
Right.
working towards living that out
Yeah.
anyway.
And I play Magic the Gathering all the time. I love Magic the Gathering, and why do I do it? Because I like math.
So you should
And I
get
like
into real life
competing.
sorcery. Oh wait, no.
Yeah,
you were going to
so
say
real life sorcery. No, I do it because I like math and I like competing. And so, what's the thing that I could do that has some of those elements, like the core of what it is that I'm doing, and that was selling something in financial technology, because it's full of financial math and probability and statistics and all that kind of stuff, and I'm competing against other salespeople to be the one that sells the most. So, yeah. So so you can do that. And so how do you do that, I guess, is a good question. And I think that's answered in that in the video, in the Grant Cardone video, which is frequency. Pick something to do and start doing it.
do some thinking first.
Yeah.
Figure out why you play the video games you do,
Yeah.
and then find something in real life that you can access. And this might go back to talking to people at church,
Yeah.
in your friends group, your friends' dads.
Yep.
What do they do that you're interested in?
Yeah.
And figure out how they started.
Yeah.
My daughters they see me building stuff, and I think I talked about this in the first episode. I told them you just have to learn how to drive a nail first.
Yes. Yeah, you did.
And we've got boards all around here that are full of nails from them just coming in here and taking a hammer and working on whacking a nail, hitting their thumbs sometimes,
Yeah.
and me giving them little tips.
Yeah.
Well, don't hold your finger there after the nail is steady. Hold the hammer like this, and it'll be, you'll create greater leverage and force in driving the nail.
Yeah.
You find out you'll put a hole through the floor if you continue driving the nail too far. Little tiny stupid things like that are not stupid when you are first starting out.
No,
When my
not at all.
kids get discouraged about something, I'll say, well, did you always know how to walk?
Right. No.
No. Did you look at Penny, our baby? Can she walk? No. Well, how's she going to learn how to walk? Do you think she's just going to start one day? No. You start by it's incremental steps. It's
she's gonna
fundamentals she's gonna fall a lot.
Hit her head, and it's gonna
she's
suck.
gonna cry.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, whittling, you're gonna cut your finger sometime and it's gonna hurt.
You're gonna make something that looks dumb, and you're gonna feel dumb.
Maybe you won't.
Yeah, maybe you won't. I would feel dumb.
It would be disappointing, and instead of giving it up, that's the key moment where you say, I'm gonna try again.
Right.
We have this great book called Trying.
Okay.
Beautifully illustrated book.
Okay.
Children's book. And it starts out with this kid coming up to an elderly sculptor, and the sculptor is creating some beautiful lion sculpture or whatever. And he says, how do you do that? And it's all about, he goes, well, I don't remember the exact response of the sculptor, but the kid is continually discouraged
Yeah.
as to his attempts. He says, oh, I could never do that.
Yeah.
That's what he says to the sculptor. And the sculptor says, yeah, I think you could.
Yeah.
Why don't you try? You won't know if you don't try.
Right.
And he keeps on. The book has enough repetition in it that it really replicates how hesitant we are and how easily discouraged we are when we attempt something, because we want to skip right to the end and say, I can make, Michelangelo's David on the first try.
Yeah.
It's like, you think Michelangelo was able to make the David statue
Yeah.
first try?
No.
That's like one of the works he's remembered for.
Yeah, that was a culmination of like for real
years
autistic
and
obsession.
Years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of
And
doing
so-
it like to the detriment of his own health, pursuing this
And we're not
Craft.
saying maybe do that.
Right.
There's a few of you
that are
that will achieve that sort of high level. I think it's maybe foolish for the majority of people to go, I'm going to be an NBA superstar and
Yeah,
make millions of dollars a month.
it's much better to discourage people to do stuff like that, because the people who are going to do stuff like that will not be discouraged no matter what. They'll be so obsessed with it that it doesn't matter.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
you could
they
just
won't be.
discourage people, and the people that are discouraged from doing something that crazy and then don't do it, we're never going to do it anyway. So you're just saving them time. Everybody else,
But
you're just-
99% of you will be successful enough to support yourselves in a family
And have
if
a
you
dignified
continue
life.
trying.
yeah,
If you continue trying.
right. It's a little
And-
cheesy, but you aim at the moon, land amongst the stars.
There you go.
Yeah,
Which are really giant suns, and you'll burn up.
yeah.
And, like your wax wings will fall. I think we're mixing metaphors and
Yeah.
Greek stories.
yeah, yeah,
But the point is, you need to try and keep trying at something,
yeah.
and determine if it's worth keep trying at that certain thing. Sometimes it's like that's not something that's worth trying.
Yes. Yeah,
But when you're just starting out, I think it's helpful to just hammer away at it and develop. If it's your only skill that you're working on developing, keep on working on developing it. Even if you don't see how it could, and maybe it never will, produce a career for you, but the confidence building is invaluable.
yeah, it's invaluable. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
will help you in some way, even if not in a concrete way or a direct way. It will help you in an indirect way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think the point both of us would want to make is that this doesn't have to be the skill building thing. Like when you say how to do skill building, that kind of stuff, it doesn't have to be complex. It's not really hard. It's just pick something and do it, and don't give up. And the metaphor I always use when I'm talking about this kind of stuff is the metaphor of Frodo and Sam. Like like so much of that book is Frodo deciding to take the next step and just keep walking. And that is such a massive part of, I would go as far as to say that that's 90% of everything that you're going to do. Every decision you're going to make is in some way a decision to just keep walking. And that's really how you build a skill, is that you don't, one of the things that comedians, stand-up comedians always say to each other, or the older comedians say to the younger comedians, a piece of advice they all talk about having gotten from the guys who were famous and good was just keep going on
Getting
stage.
up there.
Yeah, keep getting up there. Do not give up. Just keep writing. Keep doing it. And so that is the key to skill building.
All those guys had to do that. None of them were overnight successes.
Right. None of them were overnight successes.
There's a lot of old material you'll never see
Right.
that they did for free.
Yeah. And and that kind of, to bring it full circle back to the Cardone video, like so many of the people that were complaining, like the thing that I said, the person said, this is foolish, and I can
soul sucking.
Yeah, it's soul sucking, and then somebody else retweeted it, and they said, I did this. I did cold calling for tech sales, and I can tell you that your time would be better spent playing League of Legends and
oh my goodness. No.
and hanging out on the internet than it is to do this. This sucked. And what I said to him is,
you talk about a grinding game.
right, yeah.
Oh
What I said to him is that the SDR, inside salesperson route is fine, is an amazing exercise in skill building and resilience building. And at the end of it, if you're good, you get a very cush mid 6-figure job working from home where you can family max. And I just said, you're a coward. It's not that thing sucks. It's that you're a coward. And
or that you didn't see where it could lead.
Yeah, you didn't see where it could lead. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And obviously everybody got mad at me. So I just spent an hour like just bodying people on Twitter.
Did you say bodying?
Yeah, like just like they would say something, like some guy was like, listen, coming from a real man, everybody who talks to you people, their skins crawl. Why don't you go build something, you freak? And that's what he said to me.
Why don't you go build something?
Yeah, build something, you freak. And I just said, hey, listen, you lay bricks because you're scared, and it's easy to do because other people think for you. Now, please step out of the way while men with chests go out in the world and sell things to make sure you have a job. And that's I would not say that about bricklayers in general. I was saying about that guy.
I was going to say, I was like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of subtle skill in bricklaying.
There's a lot of subtle skill.
If you've ever
in
walked on anybody's homemade patio.
Yeah, there's a lot.
After 2 years and it's settled.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a tremendous amount of skill in bricklaying. So I'm not
There is in virtually any trade, no matter how simple. Have you ever watched concrete people?
Yeah, my uncle is a concrete guy.
Man,
yeah,
that is an art form.
Yeah, it is.
Doing concrete, getting a smooth concrete
Dude, it's
pad.
so satisfying to watch those guys work.
I love it.
Oh my goodness!
I've gotten to watch 2 pads now. When Jesse got 2 pads poured, and it's so cool to watch them skeet it out.
Any trade. Here's what I'll say: any job that makes more than $45,000, jobs that make $45,000, any job that makes more than minimum wage. Even then, dude, even being like a McDonald's employee, like. You
could be a spectacular McDonald's employee.
Yeah, there is. So looking at somebody's job and saying, "Oh, it's," looking at salespeople and saying, my skin crawls. Nobody wants to talk to you. You don't understand. You're ignorant. You don't understand how business gets done anywhere. If it wasn't for salespeople, then no one would do. All the tradespeople would not have jobs to go do. And that's 100% true. There's no way around that, because the moment that anybody starts selling a job, they show up, they give a quote, whatever, they are in that moment selling. So they are a salesperson in that moment. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make here is don't make like moral decisions about the position or the job that you could take. Just go with whatever opportunity is presented to you. And it might be a sales job. We have friends that I know that I've talked to. I've been like, dude, you should sell something. And they're like, I didn't take it personally because I knew what they were trying to say, but it is very funny to hear people be candid. It's weird. Being a salesperson is like the only one of the, it's like salespeople and like the employees at DMVs are like the only 2 people everyone just feels comfortable just being mean to.
Lawyers.
That's
true.
I'm sorry.
Lawyers.
Yeah. Lawyers. Yeah. So I was talking to one of our friends and I was like, oh, you should sell something. And he goes, yeah, I just can't lie. And I was like, yeah, neither can I, dude. What do you thought? I was like, do you think I'm lying all day? Like, what do you think I'm doing?
Liars don't sell very much.
Yeah, liars don't sell anything. Nobody wants to buy from
Well,
liars.
I shouldn't say that.
They might sell.
They won't get repeat sales.
They
Which
won't
is
get
where
repeat
it's at.
sales. Yeah, they're in and out of any game quickly.
There's some statistic about how much effort is put into acquiring new customers rather than repeat customers, and how expensive advertising can be. And if you can just keep a small group of base customers who will keep coming back to you for the same service, or if you extend your services and rope them into getting more,
Yeah.
and they already know you, that's far easier.
It's way easier.
You don't have to advertise. Word of mouth does it for you.
Yeah.
And you pick up other people you actually want to do service for,
Yeah,
as opposed to, and you get rid of your crummy.
yeah. In almost every company that does exist that has salespeople working for it, you start out as a going and getting new business salesperson, and if you do well at that, then you get a job as a account manager, where you get to just like
You maintain.
you maintain the current customers. And those
Well, I
are
just
like
learned from Chase that that's how you become a partner.
Okay.
You become a partner at a law firm by bringing in enough business to where you are then
Considered valuable enough to
because you then own part of, because the company value is its clients.
Right.
And if you rope in a big client and they know you,
Yeah.
then they don't care about the law firm. They care about their lawyer,
Right.
the one they have a relationship with, and they're not going to be passed off to another one when you leave.
Right.
So that law firm will lose that big account when you leave.
Yeah, so they won't.
And therefore you say, I want a partnership now because I now command 20% of our income, you know,
Yeah.
because I have this big firm now.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So
I
that's
was like, that is a neat, I didn't know that's how that worked, but that's,
I didn't know that was how that worked either. That's really cool.
yeah, it's just like 2 weeks ago I learned that.
But there you go. That's hey. One of
Like,
the
go
things
out
we're
and
talking
get
about
'em.
right now. Yeah, go out and get them, get some skills, and then you can have a nice. I don't have the big job yet, the big nice cushy sales job, and I probably won't ever get it, but because I would prefer to do this and do writing and stuff, and so I'll just never be able to compete with the guys who really want to be there. But my dad has the big cushy job, and it is comical. It's insane that it's a job. It's insane. A little while when I was a kid, he was. We had a neighbor, and the neighbor worked for a company that was installing one of our pools, or not one of our pool. And sorry, that sounded insane. We have one pool. We have a normal house with one
Of our pools in our summer home.
Yeah, no. The pool that's at the house that my parents own.
Okay, we're back to the moderately wealthy.
Yeah, moderately wealthy. Yeah, I really want to hammer
Not
that
the
home.
obscenely.
Yeah, I know. I can be like all like pompous and stuff. I come from a moderately wealthy family. They're definitely upper class, but we're not like driving around new GLEs or whatever. But anyways, the guy they were installing a pool, and it was the son of one of our neighbors, and so he's a kid, like 18, and he just gotten, it was his first contracting job, and so he was digging ditches, and my dad was standing over him, like looking down at him, watching him dig this ditch, and talking to him, just chatting with him. And I think it was like, like noon on a Wednesday. My dad's like in his pajamas, and the guy looks up at my dad after a while and goes, "Shouldn't you be at work?" And my dad goes, "I am." And the kid goes, "What do you do?" And he was like, well, kind of, explain it to him. I'm in sales and I do technology stuff, whatever, and I handle a lot of our current clients. And so I just hang out until they have a problem, and then I solve that problem for them. And he goes, "Well, how did you get that job?" And he was like, "Took a long time, but it took a long time." The
I
point I'm
started
trying
out
to make,
doing the tech version of digging ditches.
yeah,
what
the
I
tech version of
did.
digging ditches, which is 200 dials a day.
So don't scoff at the ditch digging work.
Yes, do
If
not.
you're
scoff at it,
65 and
please.
doing ditch digging,
yeah, maybe
you
reevaluate.
should
something.
have done some. You should have started that a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe stop. The likely most helpful advice for you if you're 65 and digging ditches is stop drinking. I would imagine
That's
it's
probably up there.
Yeah.
or get your anger problem under control.
Yes, get your anger problem under control.
Stop telling the boss to shove it.
Yeah, understand that he's the boss for a reason.
man, shove it.
Yeah.
Don't take that advice.
Yeah, don't take that advice. Yeah. Some people need to take that advice. You are not one of them. You need to
Not
take,
you, 65-year-old
yeah,
dick
not you,
ditch
65
digger.
ditch digger.
And our heart goes out to you. If you're listening to this podcast and you're 65 and digging ditches,
We are on your side.
you've had a hard life, obviously,
we
and
get
it's
it.
still hard, and hope you can glean something.
Honestly, at 65, you're still digging ditches. I say just go for it.
And man, you must be in way better shape,
Than I'll ever be.
especially at 65.
Yeah, especially at 65. Dude. Yeah.
If your body held up well enough to dig ditches at 65, that's pretty bad in its own right.
Yeah. For sure, just go for it, dude. At 65, still digging ditches, just let it ride. It's kind of over. Just let it ride. You're fine. You'll be okay. What do you got? If you're 65 digging ditches, and you for sure only have like 10 years left. For sure. Maybe 5. Just let it ride. You can turn this off. You don't have to worry about it.
No,
No.
it's never too late to,
That's true.
to
It
make
is
it
never-
a small turnaround
It's
anyway.
never too late. Yeah, it's never too late to improve your life a little bit. And if you improve
That's true.
if you improve your life even marginally, it's it has an effect on everything around you, because you don't live in a bubble. So when you do good things happen more often to people around you.
That reminds me of another point I'd been thinking of. Everyone has a different starting point.
Yeah,
We joked in the first podcast that I was on that there's no hope for black people being successful in America.
Yes. Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is, we obviously don't believe that.
Right.
It's the land of opportunity, which is a little overused and cheesy at this point,
Yes,
perhaps.
but it is
and
still
people
true.
ignore it. It is true. People would not move here from other countries.
Right.
You need some perspective if you think that, because go visit some other countries
Yeah.
if you're able to, and don't go to the touristy places, and you see how people live.
Yeah.
And if you think you can't make something work here, then
Good luck.
you've just you are a victim of your own
Mind.
you're a victim of your own mind and your own outlook.
Yeah.
My point is that everyone starts from a different position, though, and some people might start from the poverty level. Maybe you are at the poverty level. Ethan and I started at different spots. Ethan's from the moderately wealthy, and I'm from the low to middle class, probably. Obviously, with individual aptitudes and abilities, there is, and just providential. There's providential opportunities that are presented to some people, not to others.
Yeah.
So you might happen across. I put "happen" in big quotation marks because God puts all these things in our path, but it kind of seems to us like it just happens randomly.
Yeah.
Oh, so and so stumbled into this job that ended up being $1 million a year job.
Yeah.
So that'll happen to some people, so I'm talking about averages.
Yeah.
The bell curve.
Yeah. The bell
Going back
curve.
to the bell curve.
Exactly. The bell
The
curve.
mean number of people, if you work hard, you are going to raise yourself by, we'll just say, X amount
Yes.
in your lifetime.
Yeah.
If you diligently apply yourself from the time you graduate high school until the time you, quote unquote, retire or like stop doing your main income producing kind of work, if you ever stop. Let's say, just on a 0 to 100 scale, if we say you start at a 1, let's say the average person will raise themselves in the economic spectrum by a figure of 20.
Yeah.
You're going to end your life at a 21.
Yeah.
Somebody who starts at 75 is going to end at 95.
Yeah.
They're going to end up ahead of you, but they also started ahead of you. It's like a race.
Yeah.
You can race just as well as somebody else, but if they had a 400 feet head start on you, they're still going to finish 400 feet ahead of you, even though you ran just as well as they did.
Yeah.
I think this is best applied to if you look at any large group of people over the course of American history who have emigrated here, Germans, Italians. The first mass bunch of people who made it here were not doing so hot.
Right.
They were on the poverty level. They had nothing except what they could bring on the ship with them. You know, they had the pack on their back and that was it. And they had and they didn't speak the language, some of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Most of you listening here are one step ahead of that. You have parents, maybe some of you have parents who did immigrate here. Maybe you were even born in a different country. You're starting out a few steps ahead of your parents because you can grow up in this culture and adjust to it quicker and pivot faster than they could. So I look at these immigrant families, people who don't speak much English, but who are running convenience stores, donut shops, things like that. Those are the businesses that they started. Vietnamese people doing pedicures and manicures.
Yes. Yeah.
Why are they all run by, it's because I think there was a large amount of them that came over. They started that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and then all their family who comes over and they hire them on,
Right.
but they teach them in that trade almost. It's almost like a cultural trade.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, honestly.
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
So I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at lawn care Hispanics.
Yes.
It's like how many lawn care businesses are run by whites or blacks.
Right. Right.
Or Italians, Jews, they're just not in that industry very much.
One of my
They're an outsider. But the point is, you start out at a point of not speaking English, and you're going to work really hard at a base level job your whole life because you just can't progress when you don't speak the language
Right,
that
yeah,
well.
you're not
and
gonna
you
interview
spend
well,
all your
you're not
time.
gonna-
Yeah, you can't interview well. You can't do a sales job.
Right. Yeah.
You can't do high level business. You're not going to be there, but your kids might be able to.
Right.
And so this goes back to thinking about what are your grandkids and your great grandkids going to be doing. So don't work hard just for yourself and go, oh, I'm at a 1. I'll only make it to a 21 if I
Right.
work really hard my whole life. It's like
Yeah.
your kid then is starting off at 21 is my point. And they will build on that if you've raised them with the same kind of work hard mentality that you
Yes.
have. And your kids will end up at a 41 because they've also raised themselves that 20 over their span of lifetime. And their kids will be at a 61 afterwards.
Right.
So it continues building.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the point is, it's not just about you. Work hard for posterity, that they might have not an easier life. You don't want them to have an easy life because easiness breeds sloth.
Yeah. But a more productive life.
Not even more productive, just that they will end up in a economically higher stratus.
Yeah. They'll just
That's
have,
all. A higher
they'll
tier.
just
They will
have better access to
climb
healthcare.
instead of being in the poverty level. They'll end up middle class.
Yeah. Everybody knows it's just nice to be a little better off.
It's nice to not have to live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. And my dad started below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Yeah. He never met his biological father. Below the poverty line. Like my dad got as bad of a start as you can get, in the U.S. at least. And he loved my mom and had a vision in his head for what he wanted, and went out and worked very hard and did things that other people weren't willing to do. And he moved from 1 to, if 1 is poverty level and 100 is, I don't know, upper
Billionaires.
Yeah,
let's say.
billionaires and stuff. Then he made it to 80.
Yeah. So
And-
he's an example of somebody making a giant leap.
Right, a giant leap. But
I'm
even
saying
then,
you shouldn't
like,
necessarily expect that or aim for that. I
Right.
think that's unhealthy because a lot of people will be disappointed.
yeah, yes,
So for the average Joe, the mean person, he's on the outlier. He's a 3%er like we were talking about.
Yeah.
He's a fringe person who made a gigantic leap.
yeah,
And some people are highly motivated by starting in that poverty position and gives them an advantage
Right.
in a lot of ways because they're like, I don't ever want my kids to experience this.
right. The point that the point I was going to make though is to further your point of like it's better for your kids, because I was a retard, like brain damaged almost. How stupid I was till I was probably 25, and it was my dad's money that saved me from being a felon, from being like addicted to drugs, from being an alcoholic. It was my dad's money that kept me busy in college when I was failing. Like it was my dad's money that put me here. And like that is,
See, I feel like that's a little unusual. People growing up in a wealthy sphere, the kids sometimes are a lot worse off because they're lax. They don't have to worry about anything, and so they don't have anything to challenge them.
yeah.
That's my impression of the rich kid, the ultra rich.
Yeah.
But that's also parents who don't have. That
That
like
is-
the kind of parent who doesn't, like, their life is their work, and
Right.
that is their baby.
That is certainly the most likely problem that you will face coming from a family with money.
So if you make that jump like Ethan's dad did, you have to be careful.
be very
raise
diligent.
You have to be careful with the wealth.
Right. And
Because
we
it's
lived
a
in
weapon. It's a two-edged sword.
yeah, we lived in a nice neighborhood with nice big houses, and all my friends were pretty well off. I had friends that were much better well off than we were, that were like crazy rich. But the people that were like in our same economic sphere, they were not like that with their kids. Like, their kids got the new Xbox as soon as it came out. They got nice. My dad did get me a Mercedes, and was gonna give it to me if I graduated high school, and then I didn't graduate high school.
Do you have a GED?
No, I don't have anything. I don't have a. Oh no, that's not true. I have a diploma. My mom just gave me one because in Texas you can just be homeschooled, and so she just said you have a diploma.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's how I got into college. But I don't. Yeah, so I do have a diploma technically, but I never earned one, and I don't have a college degree. Yeah. So my parents, like, it didn't feel all the time like we were as wealthy as other people around me, because my parents, like, we had great Christmases, but we didn't get, like, I didn't get all the stuff as
It wasn't
came
a
out.
constant flow.
Yeah, it
of
wasn't like
anything you wanted at your fingertips.
Yeah. It was like the money was deployed very strategically.
I think that's where the wealthy
Yeah, and it was
break down with their
only
families.
only when the harm that I had done to myself would exceed the lesson that I could have learned by suffering the consequences of my own actions did my dad come in and bail me out. So, like, only when I went to jail and was gonna go to prison did my dad come in and get a nice lawyer and take care of me. But that was. Yeah, so it was deployed very strategically. So, but yeah, again, that's the point. It's like everything else, man. It's like the internet. It's like video games. It's like guns. It's like,
Responsible.
yeah, it's just a tool. Yeah, it's just money is just a tool. And if you are intelligent with it, the only difference is money's mass. It's having a lot of money is like giving an individual person like a little mini nuke that they could just set off in their life. You know. It's a, you could
Or they could use it as a generator.
yeah, they could use it as a fusion reactor
power-
to power an incredible project.
Yes.
Or they could set off a little tiny nuke in their
They
life.
could
and
destroy a city.
destroy. Yeah, really, for real, like destroy a city, basically.
That is their life in this metaphor.
Yeah, that is their life in this
In
metaphor.
case anyone wasn't keeping up.
Yeah. And so it's just like that. You just have to be, and that was one thing that my dad, I think he's always known that. Like, he'd say all the time, like, my mom would get worried about money or something and say, oh, are we going to be able to do this or whatever? Can we say no to the kids on this thing? Cause whatever. And she'd be like, I don't know if we have the money. And he'd be like, God's got plenty of money. He just never cared. And so that's one of the reasons why when you get like, there's, Dave Ramsey just did a podcast where somebody asked him, if you had $10 billion given to you with no interest and it was a loan you had to pay back, would you take it? And he said no, and was being very serious. It's like that kind of stuff is just foolish, because it's just, I don't know. I don't get nervous about money, so it's just, anyways, I don't want to get off on that rabbit hole, but
Going back to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
No, we're done. We wrapped it up.
yeah, we wrapped up Dave Ramsey. Yeah, so for sure, build skills, all in the name of pushing yourself forward, and push yourself forward not just for yourself, but think, multi-generationally. Like, have a big family, take care of them, make sure your kids have a better platform than you do, and eventually, yes, somewhere in that chain, someone's going to mess up and burn all the wealth somewhere. But it doesn't.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But that's just part of the human condition. Because things are going to go south, it does not mean that you ought not fight for what's better.
And do your best to pass it on.
Yeah.
And impress upon them the need for generational. And it will last a lot longer than somebody who just builds up a ton of wealth, doesn't invest in their kids, because that's going to be gone in the next generation.
Right. It's going to be gone immediately. It's probably going to be gone before you die.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. They will go and do something that requires you to, if you love your kid,
Yeah,
bail them out, and it'll
yeah.
eat up all of your wealth, and
Yeah.
you'll die poor too.
Yeah.
Did you, were your parents believers for your whole life?
Yeah.
That is the true inheritance.
That's
the
that,
true
that
wealth.
was the last thing I was about to pin on. All
beat
of it
you
was,
to it.
Yeah, you beat me. I took a break for a second to drink water, and Jason jumped on it.
I just wanted to nab that.
Yeah, I was just telling my father-in-law. He said, "What is this podcast about?" And I said, you know how there's just like all this self-help stuff for young men out there in the world right now. He's like, yeah. And I said, all of it misses the mark because none of it points back to God. And every single thing we just said is pointless. It has no meaning if it is not aimed at the glorification of our Creator.
Work hard because God told you to and created you to.
Right.
And as the inherent blessing in doing what God has told you to do, you will be blessed.
You will be blessed. You will find peace. You will find peace.
Yeah, you will not. This is not a health and wealth gospel. The
Right.
averages show that living a morally Christian life and working hard will set you off better at the end
Right.
than you started at the beginning.
Right.
That is the mean average.
But that's
There are
obviously what we're talking about. We're talking about what God has mandated we do.
right. So regardless of what happens to you, you are mandated to do it.
Right.
Even if God chooses to put you through some great suffering
Yeah.
and you build up your $1 billion company, you're great to your kids, and then you get cancer at 55.
Or one of your kids
And you're-
dies.
Yeah, or they loot the entire company.
Yeah.
Despite you having done everything right.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That can all still happen. Yeah. And that I think is a really good, aim at that. Aim at everything you do. Aim at fulfilling God's plan for you. And the one thing I'll say as my parting word is, don't do something because you can do this. Part of your motivation can be the future. Obviously you want to be thinking about the future. You don't want to, disregard the value of, I mean, we literally just said it, do multi-generational stuff, think about your grandkids and their grandkids. So I'm not saying don't think about the future, but what I am saying is that when you do something, do it primarily because that particular action is right. Because
Yes.
you've been mandated to do it by God.
Preach.
Not because it's going to be better for you in the future. Do it now because God's telling you to do it. I'm doing this right now with Jason, not because, I mean, again, don't just disregard the future. I'm doing this now because I don't think I can sustainably be a corporate employee for the rest of my life, and this is what I feel called to do. But I'm doing this particular episode of this particular podcast, saying these particular words, not because I want to be a podcaster and a writer, but because I sincerely believe that after prayer and meditation and scripture reading, that this is what God wants me to be doing right now, removed from anything in the future. I have no idea if I'll ever be a novelist or a talk radio person or whatever. I have no idea. I am sincerely unconcerned with that outcome. I'm doing this right now because I know that God has told me that this is what needs to be done. So this is what I'm doing. And so you should do that. Everything you do that in the moment, be present, be thinking that. And it will make things, if you can get your mind there, it will make things easier to do in general.
And that's a continuous thing. That's not a get your mind there and it'll stay there.
Right.
Because the world will distract you
It'll pull your attention
constantly.
away. It
And
wants
so
your
it's a
attention.
constant, you need to be on guard against that.
Yeah,
And you will fall away from it here
Yeah.
and there.
for sure. For sure. Your attention will falter. And that's okay. You're a human being. The great thing about attention is that
It can be pulled back
it
too.
can be pulled back very easily. Very, very easily. Yeah.
God's word does not go out void. It will produce good in the world, and so Even if only one of you out of these 40 people listening has their life altered in some positive way and glorifies God, then this podcast will be worth it.
Will have been worth it, yes. Yes. All right. I think that's good. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Okay.
I feel like we glorified God.
I think we did too.
Can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen? All right, guys, we love you. hyperpremium@protonmail.com if you have any questions. We should, if you would like to email us some questions, I'm sure I speak for us both when I say we're happy to make an attempt at answering them the best we can. If you have any particular personal problem you want help with, yes, hyperpremium@protonmail.com is that email. You can email us comments, concerns, questions, schizophrenic ramblings. I promise I'll read the whole thing. I will show it to my wife and laugh at you if it's too schizophrenic, but I promise I will read it. What else? I am online blackface on Twitter. That is my Twitter.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw that.
That is my Twitter username. I will change it if you want me to.
This is a discussion we can have off mic.
Okay.
I was very curious. I looked up the YouTube channel this week and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I will change
The art I'm all right
I'm
with.
not married to that name. And I knew when I there were several things that I was like, all right, before I even bring this up to Jason, before I even ask him about the podcast, there's several things that have to change before I'm even comfortable with him knowing that I'm doing this.
Too late. I found out before you said it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to change that. But anyways, for now, it's online blackface at x.com. What else? Anything you want to say?
We going to do decals or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Spread the word.
Yes.
If you'd like to, if you're getting anything out of this podcast and you know other people who might need it, please share it with them.
Yeah, share the podcast. If we've said anything that you think might be helpful for one of your friends to hear, please share. You can email me out when we get the decals ready. We'll do some stuff with like QR codes, so you can just like look it up on your phone, and it'll like send you to the Substack or to the Spotify or whatever.
We're gonna do a giveaway with stickers. Or
Yeah, we'll use
merch
email.
store,
At first, you can just email me, and I'll just send them to you. How about that? I'll send you them for free. I don't care. I'll pay for them and send them to you.
Cool.
If at some point I feel like
last.
Yeah, while supplies last, and then the next go around, we might be paying for them. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's good. Decals, Twitter, email. Anything else? No. I was going to talk to some of the boys about doing some writing.
Yeah.
So watch out for that. That may happen. If I ask Chase to do it, some of those articles might be a little wild. But,
Spicy.
Yeah, but that's okay.
It's not like you're not hearing spicy stuff here.
Yeah.
You can handle it.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Be an adult.
Yeah, be an adult. Understand that, everybody thinks different things, and you can say some pretty crazy stuff and still be right. Okay, cool. I think we're done. All right, boys, ladies, gentlemen, thanks for joining us for our time together. We love you. We will pray for you. Remember to do good things, glorify God, do some praying yourself, read the word.
Let's pray for him now.
Let's pray for him now. That's what you want to pray for him?
Sure.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessing upon our listeners, that you would help them to glorify you, that you would use our podcast positively in their lives. Please give us wisdom as we go about our days. Give us diligence and help us to glorify you in everything we do, in the way we think and the words that we speak, and in the way that we use our hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, everybody. See you around. Go to church. Bye.